So over the last 8 years that I've been in the industry, I've had my fair share of interviews. And I believe the 4 questions that Manzoor has picked out in sharing with us, there is a 90% chance that you will face these in your next interview. But watch to the very end, because he reveals the most obscure interview question he's been asked in his 20 years working in pharma. Now, outside of the typical, tell us about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Why do you want to join the company? I did do a previous episode on that. So guys, click the link and check that out if you haven't. What are some, maybe 2 commonly asked, general interview questions outside of those that you might be able to share with the audience?
Well, one thing you have to be aware of is when the hiring manager look at this resume, they are aware that you do not have extensive experience. Mm-hmm. So most of the most common question is, tell us about yourself, what are your strengths and abilities? And in 80%, 90% cases, we answer a very scripted answer. Right? These are my strengths, I'm hardworking, I'm good at communicating, and I'm good at leadership. But again, whatever you're suggesting, give an example and link it with the job. If I'm saying, for example, that I'm hardworking, instead of saying I'm hardworking in this project or in this, I was working with the team and I put an effort, I had to work maybe 20 hours a day, but I made sure that I put that effort because we had to meet the deadline. So something like an example that would validate what you're claiming. Yeah. So that's one. Second question, is about the job. Normally they would ask you why you're interested in this opportunity. Again, it's easy answer is I need a job, right? But it's like something that you have interest, and how can you relate that interest to that job? The objective of that asking that question is whether you are planning to stay here for a longer term, or whether as an organization we can satisfy your interest. So that's why it's important to relate your interest and motivation to the job that you're applying. So these are the way you can answer the questions, the most common question. I would like to add one thing. When I started interviewing, I purposely used to go to different interviews just to learn different practices. One of the dreading questions was asked, if you want to become an animal, what animal would you like to be? And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, that's difficult. What should I say? So I said, okay, I would like to be a bird, because not because I want to fly, fly away, but the way I've presented, I want to be a bird because I would like to have an oversight of the whole problem or the issues or the organization. So then I can decide, okay, where to focus on. That's how I presented that. I'm talking about 20 years ago when I presented. The point that I'm trying to make is whatever you say, try to relate to that job itself, so that even though you do not have much corporate experience, they would understand that you have the corporate understanding how it works.
Yeah. Comment below. What's the most challenging interview question you've been asked? What about behavioural questions? So I know they're a bit more structured. Tell me about a time, and using that STAR format. Can you share 2 commonly asked behavioural questions and maybe how you would answer them, similar to the bird?
Yeah, so one key thing is about how you perceive a problem and how you take an action, right? So what we say, okay, give us an example where you had faced a challenge and what did you do? It's a quite common question, and again, anything, it doesn't have to be related to the job itself. One thing I would recommend is, if being a pharmacy student, if you do enjoy working in the pharmacy, whether in the community, whether in the hospital, please do work, even if it's a casual setting one day, because that will open up a lot of ideas and experience, and then you will be able to share this experience, right? So that challenge is something that you need to prepare. The other question is about team collaboration, right? So give us an example where you had to influence someone, or you had to work as a team and then you influence. So team collaboration and the challenges that you face, how you overcome. These are the 2 most common questions for someone in a very early stage of their career.
Yeah. Adding to the culture, right? The culture is such an important thing.
It is.
I recently went to a talk by Stephen Bartlett. He runs the Diary of a CEO, and he said the most important decision a manager makes is who they hire, because the people you bring in can really make the business fly, because people is your performance, not the other way
One
around.
individual can bring the whole team.
So brilliant. Any bonus tips that you can share beyond those questions, maybe around dress code? Don't wear a t-shirt like me. Questions to ask post-interview, what the follow-up etiquette should be, and any other tips for the
one thing is preparation is the key. Learn about the organization, learn about the job that you're applying for. Sometimes if you don't have the information, talk to the recruiter or whoever contacted the hiring human resources manager. give them a call, like, when is there a dress code? Like, is there an expectation? You don't want to overdress, but getting overdressed is much easier than being underdressed, right? So you just take that safe approach, whatever you feel comfortable, that, or whatever it gives you confidence. Second tip is, often when we come out of the interview, we're like, oh, I should have answered this, right? It's a very common thing. So the way you can cover that is you send a nice thank you email saying that, thank you for your time. By the way, I missed the opportunity to explain this. I would like to add whatever the answer is, right? And then send it. So by that, you are covered. You don't feel that, oh, I should have answered that. And also they see that you have been paying attention and you kind of got back to them. That's a good sign.
Yeah. The self-reflection again, this person is quite self-aware, but two, they're so passionate. They want to even reach out and tell me more. So that's a positive sign. Brilliant advice. I love that. And to your point about, potentially that makes a lasting impression, right? Even if they don't get it, but hey, I remember that person. They didn't give up. Maybe it's the next one. Yeah. If the pharmaceutical industry is starting to sound a little interesting to you, click here for a helicopter view of all the different roles in pharma. It is a little bit long, but the reason for that is it is very thorough and I go through each of the different entry-level roles I think you can apply for. Otherwise, something you'd never guess about me is I'm actually a major introvert, but I've successfully carved out a career in sales, and here are a few reasons why I think you can do the same.